My name is Richard Fisher. I'm the publisher of Inside Unmanned Systems. And it's 2024. And we're in San Diego, and we are broadcasting live from the show floor at Xponential. And today we have a colleague here by the name of Franck Boynton, who is the CTO, Vice President of Development and globally, I believe, with NavtechGPS, and we're delighted to have him with us today. Frank, thank you for joining.
Absolutely. Welcome. Thanks for having me here. Always enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
Always enjoy coming to do this with you.
Yeah, so when we were preparing the issue that is being distributed at this conference, we did a focus on, PNT, positioning, navigation, and timing, and the kind of the foundational nature of PNT for unmanned, uncrewed, remotely piloted, whatever you want to describe it as,
all the above,
and autonomy as well. And you have been in the PNT space, in the PNT business, for some decades.
It's been some decades. Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
And I think the PNT, even after we've been talking about it and the need for resilient and robust positioning, navigation, and timing, it's still not as well understood as it ought to be.
Sure.
Tell us what you think people don't understand about PNT in this market.
Sure.
Can you talk a little bit about that, where you see gaps in knowledge and understanding?
I can talk a little bit about that, and I think a lot of it also has been brought to light, by yourself, and Inside GNSS has been a huge part of that, and pointing out what's been going on in the industry and what maybe needs to be going on in the industry. So we always appreciate what you guys do there, and as usual, for what I do at this conference a lot is talking about interference and mitigation aspects of GNSS, and awareness has really been growing, I think, through doing talks like this, interviews, and what you're doing, and through products that we sell as well. So yeah, I think it's I can't say that this is the year that people have really figured it out, but it's definitely growing. We're getting more and more questions about it. So as usual, it's not a matter of will it happen, but when. So people are waking up.
Yeah, and it seems that positioning, navigation, and timing, GPS, or GNSS, global navigation satellite systems. There is this kind of surfacing of this as an issue in kind of more normal media, and it's not just the PNT community that you and I have been part of for a couple of 20 plus years. But there's this awareness because, why do you think that is? Is it just the increase in the frequency and the severity of jamming or spoofing, or is it just getting more challenging to have to get good signals from the sky, or talk about what's driving that awareness?
So everything's been terrestrial based as far as the jamming and interference, and I think it's really kind of to the point where it's really surfacing as well on just general news channels and so on. Like you said, it's kind of getting more in the general public when you have theaters of conflict, which have grown, and we have multiple ones now, and it's really become evident through that. And there's been quite a bit of talk around that as well.
So and then of course you have the kind of other just standard interference, whether it's urban canyons, multipath, tree canopies, what have you, and a lot of these drones, a lot of UAS, and even ground vehicles operate in those kind of environments, so they're constantly kind of dealing with interference, both intentional, as in jamming, right? And unintentional. What are some of the things that you tell current customers, future customers? Give us kind of, you're giving a talk tomorrow,
tomorrow.
And what time is that, Frank?
11 o'clock, Solutions Theater.
Okay, so at Solutions Theater, 11 o'clock tomorrow, you can learn more about how to A, identify, B, mitigate
Yes.
the effects of this unintentional or intentional interference.
Sure.
Can you give a bit of a preview on some of the things that you're going to be talking about?
Sure,
Just kind of
sure.
high-level perspective?
Sure. And when we're talking about interference, kind of some of the interesting pieces of that are that a lot of it's unintentional now. We see far more unintentional than intentional interference. So, jamming and interference can kind of be used interchangeably, but we really see that has been an issue. We've seen it where we've had people developing airframes and they end up jamming themselves because they've done something where they put an antenna too close to another antenna,
right.
A lot of other reasons for that as well. So it's been really interesting to work with. So what we'll talk about is we'll kind of look at it from the top down. We're going to start with the GPS antenna. So we'll start where we're going to receive it. We'll talk about any filtering and mitigation between there and the GNSS receiver, but also importantly is the GNSS receiver itself, where we will talk about the internal mitigation capabilities of these receivers, how they do it, and how well they work and what they can do. And we'll look at some of the products that we sell as far as the jammer tests and things go and how they have done there.
So the bad news is there's an increase in intentional interference. There's also an increase in the kind of situations and the operational requirements that create interference. And in some of those cases, people don't really talk about. I mean, you'd be shocked at the number of people that self-interfere.
Sure.
Sure. And it's kind of a fundamental design flaw. Maybe there's they're getting RF leakage from their payload, or there's antenna location, or there's all kinds of issues.
We've seen just about all of it.
So that's the bad news. But the good news is there's more and more things that you can do to mitigate the effects of it. But the first thing is an awareness. So, they say, if the first thing to solve a problem, you have to admit you have a problem.
Absolutely.
So if you have a problem with interference, I encourage you to go to the Innovation Theater tomorrow. Solutions Theater.
Close.
Okay,
Close
sorry,
enough.
that's not. This is a solution. This is
Solutions Theater.
Solutions. We have the solutions.
Yes.
So go to the Solutions Theater and listen to Franck's talk, because it will be enlightening. And when you actually consider the cost of unintended interference, intentional interference, what have you, in terms of the disruption to operations, and the disruption and your inability to fly, it gets expensive fast, right?
Very fast, yes.
So think about that. Go see this talk tomorrow at the Solutions Theater, and I want to thank Franck Boynton for joining us today. That's all for now. We'll see you next time. Thanks.